this is something we can, definitely build from. We'll learn a lot from the film and um, carry that into next week here. Um, the practice against Philly and the game. So it's good evaluation night. Hopefully we can, build on that and improve going forward. There's some good situations that came up in the game that we can benefit from. We'll do more of that obviously as we go forward here. In the next couple weeks, we haven't um, spent an inordinate amount of time on situations at this point. Really, it's more fundamentals, and that's what we saw last night. So, just keep putting one foot in front of the other here, take it day by day, and try to keep stringing good days together.
We'll open up the questions. We'll start with Ben Volin, followed by Alan Siegel.
Morning, Bill. Couple quick ones about the quarterbacks, if that's okay. Just what are your main takeaways of Mac Jones' performance from last night?
I mean, I think really it's pretty much the same for everybody. Some good things, some things we need to, just in general, we need to, play faster and react faster. That's every position across the board. Practice is practice, but things happen at game speed, and that's something that I would say everyone needs to improve on. Certainly the quarterback position, but every other position too. It's just we haven't had the live game exposure until last night, and so it's a good opportunity for us to recognize how fast things are going to happen, and have to match that speed. So I think the speed of the game for all the rookie players was a little bit different, certainly than anything we've been able to practice.
And then with Cam, you always talk about with players the second-year jump. This is now his second year with the team. He's had a couple weeks of camp. He had the game last night. What are you seeing with Cam Newton's progress this training camp?
Yeah, well, definitely way ahead of where we were at this time last year. But yeah, again, as I said, it's I think the same for everybody. Just practice and fundamentals, and then taking that to the execution that we need to have at game speed. Again, for all of us, players, coaches, everybody. Not last night was the first step, but we have a long way to go, and we all need to improve in those areas.
Okay, that's all I got.
Next question, Alan Siegel, followed by Arnav Sharma.
I'm imagining that going into last night in your own mind, you had some things that you wanted to see. So after you view the films on this, do you now have a baseline in which to move forward, whatever those things might be, to the next step, which would be the work out against Philadelphia and then going forward from there?
Yeah, I think that's fair, Alan. Again, what we wanted to see was to see the players play, see them play in live competition, and evaluate how they did and how it's going. I'm sure we'll see some guys make a big jump from this week to next week. I'm sure we'll probably see some guys kind of level off, and it won't be that big of a jump. So we'll just have to see how all that goes. But again, you can't evaluate a baseline or build from a baseline until you have one, and so we have one, and so that's a good thing for us. And again, it's a good experience to not just have the game speed of an actual play when the ball's snapped, but just the overall game speed of situations changing on every play and going from offense to special teams to defense to special teams to offense and so forth. Making adjustments on the sideline, making some changes. Those are things that really don't happen in practice because they just don't come up like they do in a game. So all those were good. Halftime, pregame warm up, just the whole process of getting ready to play, and then coming back out and playing in the second half. So those are all the things we wanted to see, we wanted to experience, try to smooth out our operation, which that needs a little ironing out too. But I think the big thing is just to try to build from here.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Next question, Arnav Sharma, followed by Zach.
Good morning, Bill. First of all, I just wanted to take a chance to formally introduce myself to you. My name is Arnav Sharma. I'm a student at the University of Connecticut, and I write for SI Pat's Maven. And at the risk of making everyone
Nice
feel
to meet you.
It's great to meet you over Zoom. At the risk of making everyone feel a little bit older than they're probably comfortable feeling, I was born in 2001. So for pretty much as long as I can remember, I've looked up to you as my personal hero. So I appreciate you taking my question. And for the last 17 years now, the team has had a streak of at least one rookie undrafted free agent on the opening night roster. Is there a moment over the last 17 years that stands out to you, whether during training camp or preseason, as a time where you knew a rookie UDFA was going to be special in the league?
Yeah. Well, again, that's it's a good question. It's a good observation. We try to maintain an open mind towards everybody every year. We all have to reestablish ourselves or establish ourselves and our level of performance for that individual year. But we've had a number of players, Brandon Bolden, John Jones, guys would go near the top of the list that came in and not in one day or one practice, but over the course of training camp, established a level of performance and consistency and trust that that we believed in, and Jacoby and JJ, more recently. So, again, we try to keep an open mind toward everybody, and every player that's here is here for a reason. It's here because we think that they can be competitive, and as you said, there's usually been a player that has, Gunner, guys like that have just earned their way onto the roster. So again, those are kind of things that just really evolve. They don't. I would say most of those players, it wasn't like they showed up the first day and looked like we should have drafted them in the first round. That's usually not the case. I would say it's more of a build up over time and a level, a significant level of improvement over a relatively short period of time that takes place with those guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question, Zach Cox, followed by Michael Hurley.
Morning, Bill.
Hi, Zach.
It seemed like Matt Judon was able to make a pretty significant impact in his brief playing time last night. And when we were talking to Tayshaun Bauer after the game, he was also speaking about how much it's helped to have another veteran like Judon in that room. What have you seen so far from Judon both last night and going back over the last couple months?
Right. Well, Matthew, played a handful of snaps last night. Has gotten a pretty good number of reps here in training camp. But he's got I'm glad we have him. He's got a lot of skill in the running game and the passing game. He's a very instinctive player. He seems to figure things out pretty quickly and has fit in well with the group. Has a great work ethic. Shows up to work every day, competes hard. So, I think that's a good thing for all of us to build off of and try to emulate the attitude and the toughness and the effort that he comes in with on a consistent basis, whether it be game day like we saw last night or meetings, practices, and walkthroughs, whatever it is. So he's been a good addition, and I'm glad we have him on the team.
Next question, Michael Hurley, followed by Maury Hirschberg.
Hi, Bill. I have a question about another newcomer in Jonnu. I know you've spoken highly of his ability after the catch in the past. I know it was just one play last night, but is that one where you kind of see what he can do after the catch and what few tight ends can do?
All right. Well, we've seen Jonnu for 4 years, and he does a lot of things well. He blocks well. he runs well. He's fast, catches the ball well, can run with it after the catch. So he's got a good set of skills. Can help us on all downs. And I'm glad we have him on the team. I think he's a good player, and I look forward to working with him. He's been great to work with. He's got a good attitude. He works hard. He's tough. Competes every day, and so just keep trying to find ways to help all of our skill players be productive, and he's got a good variety of skills that we can work with.
Two final questions, Morton Gordon and Phil Perry.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Knowing that the end result, doesn't ultimately matter in your season, how do you view success differently in the preseason? And was there an area maybe of the team last night that stood out to you after looking at the film?
Yeah, well, again, preseason, there's a lot of things to look at. You certainly want to look at the individuals and how they performed, also the matchups, who they were up against, and that there's quite a bit of variability there, probably as much in that game last night in the first preseason game as there would be in any game, with the number of players that both teams played and so forth. So then they're watching the units play together, whether it be a special teams unit or the offensive line or the defensive line or the quarterback and the skill players in the passing game or the linebackers in the secondary in the defensive passing game, and you look at the whole team and substitutions and the overall operation and things like that. So it's really a pretty broad stroke there that again that we've done for the first time in a real live situation, and that's all those things are good experiences, good things to learn from. Some of them we did pretty well. Some of them we need to, as I said, iron out and smooth out, and maybe clean up the communication or the operation a little bit, whether it be on the coaching end or the playing end, or maybe both. So that's kind of the first preseason game. There's really a lot that this game encompasses, and it's good to get it under our belt. And I'm sure that we'll. I'm not sure. I hope we'll be able to do things better next week. In all areas, but at least we've done them, and in some cases we can look at them and say, okay, this is how we want to do it. And there'll be other things that we'll say, this is sort of the idea, but we need to do it a lot better, and here's how we will. So.
Last question, Phil Perry.
Hey, Bill, I have sort of a general question about one element of the passing game. I'm just curious how you would, or what characteristics would be necessary in your mind for a well-executed deep pass attempt.
Yeah, well, that's Phil, that's the kind of thing that, we'd probably spend an hour on in a quarterback receiver meeting in training camp. Again, so much depends on the play itself, the coverage, the matchup, and what happens after the ball snapped. And so and then obviously, the long pass is a play that takes the longest in football. And so there's a lot of things that can go right, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But in the end, when the ball finally arrives at the reception area, then there's a whole nother level of execution that's involved, regardless of what's happened on the previous, call it, 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, that's already taken place on the play. And so the finish of that play there's a lot at stake on both sides. We're talking about one defensive back, one receiver. Who are the receivers? Could be a tight end or a back or a safety or a corner, whoever it is, linebacker. But there's a lot at stake on the result of that play and the result of the finish of the play. But again, there are a lot of things that can happen between when the ball's snapped and when the ball finally arrives, let's call it 40 yards downfield. So it's a very in-depth question, what leads to success and failure. Or there's more to that play in terms of timing and time than really there is in any other play. Things happen quicker on shorter passes and running plays and guys that are lined up, within a few inches of each other on the line of scrimmage. The go, the post, the deep seam, again, all the things, the different types of deep passes based on whether it's a play action, whether it's just a straight, clear out route or a go route that the quarterback really intends to throw versus a clear out kind of pattern that has something going underneath. I mean, we could go on and on here, but it's really, pretty specific. But in the end, it comes down most of the time to the finish of the play, assuming that the ball is catchable. So that's why the technique and the finish and the skill of the players involved is important to the outcome. So sorry, I can't give you more specific. Again, we could be here for a couple hours talking about all that because there's so many things that can happen, during that time. And again, the position of the players is, even at the beginning of the play, can be quite different as well. So it's honestly, it's a pretty deep question.
Yeah, that was kind of a broad one on my end, so I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No, that is what it is. That's why it's there's a lot to it on all three players involved: the guy throwing the ball, the guy catching the ball, and the guy defending the play. And so for each player, there's a pretty long and in-depth conversation just on one specific thing, and then when you start putting it all together, it rolls into a lot of coaching points, a lot of technique, a lot of details.
Got it. Thank you.
Coach.
Okay.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.